Here we have a 2006 Bentley Continental. Yes, this has a W12, but this car has a more interesting story. It was originally owned by Michael Jordan. That's right, NBA Hall of Famer and Chicago legend. Unfortunately, the greatest of all time wasn't bringing much water with him because the Bentley fails the big friggin' bottle test. But hey, my butt's been where the goat's butt has been. That's pretty neat. Here we have a 1998 BMW 323i Touring. This was a wagon E36 that we never got here in the United States, so this one was imported from Latvia, originally sold in Germany. This car was part of the BMW individual program, meaning the original owner chose every option themselves, and it was made just for that one person. There is a good chance that this is the only car to come with this exact spec. Sadly, they did not spec a cup holder, so it fails the big friggin' bottle test. Here we have a BMW E36 M3 lightweight tribute car. The BMW M3 lightweight was a US only M3 that had most of its options removed in order to save weight on the racetrack. The 135 mile an hour top speed limiter was removed, suspension was retuned, and they only came in white with this BMW flag graphic. This is a replica since they only made about 125 real lightweights and they go for about 6 figures. Although there is a cup holder, even without the lining, it fails the big friggin' bottle test. Here we have the all-new BMW M5 Touring.
Yes! An M5 wagon, thank God!
Power comes from a twin-turbo V8 as well as a plug-in hybrid system that's good for 717 horsepower. This might be the best modern daily driver to exist. It also has plenty of room for cargo in the trunk. However, like all other BMWs, the M5 Touring sadly fails the big friggin' bottle test. Here we have a 1974 Bricklin SV1. Bricklin was started by Malcolm Bricklin, who was also responsible for importing Subaru to the US in the 1960s and Yugo in the 1980s. SV1 means Safety Vehicle 1. Bricklin wanted to build the safest sports car the world had ever seen. This particular SV1 is extra special because it is VIN number 1. This is the very first Bricklin SV1. Just under 3,000 were ever built in their Canadian factory, and quality control is a big reason for its demise. Sadly, the safety plan didn't include cup holders for the big friggin' bottle. Here we have a 2005 Cadillac Escalade, but this one is very special. It's armor-plated and was built for George W. Bush. It was used during his visit to Japan. It has radios and additional screens, running boards, and like I said, level 5 armor, meaning it can withstand rifle fire. That also means that the doors are incredibly heavy to close. This awesome piece of history only has 17,000 miles on it and is for sale by Low Mile Cars in Burr Ridge, Illinois. And if you remove the liners, the Presidential Secret Service could bring along their big friggin' bottle when protecting the president. Here we have a 2026 Cadillac Optic V, making 519 horsepower and a 0 to 60 time in just 3.5 seconds. This is now the second V-Series vehicle to be completely electric behind the Lyric V. With a price in the high 60,000s, would you buy one? I'd consider it, since it does in fact pass the big friggin' bottle test. Here we have the Cadillac Optic. This is an XT4 sized EV and is the smallest and most affordable EV from Cadillac at the moment. I really don't like these detail stripes on the side, and the door handles are a little bit funky, but at least it passes the big friggin' bottle test. Here we have the 2026 Cadillac Vistic. This is the size of the outgoing Cadillac XT6, but all electric. The interior is very nice and even features massage seats for the driver and passenger. It also passes the big friggin' bottle test. Here we have two 1992 Chevy Cavalier wagons. This is a 2.2-liter inline-4, and this is a 3.1-liter V6. Despite the engine differences, the 4-cylinder is better optioned and cost $13,160, but the V6 was bare bones and only cost $13,069. The V6 was the way to go, however, offering a smoother and more premium driving experience. The 4-cylinder is rough around the edges, but got the job done back in the day. One big win, however, is that both cars, no matter the engine, pass the big friggin' bottle test. Here we have a 1997 Chevy Monte Carlo race car. While I don't know if this one actually was race used, it does have one very neat attribute. It was signed by the king himself, Richard Petty. It has a 4-speed manual and a 358 cubic inch V8. This was most likely just a show car, but I mean, come on, it's pretty neat. Unfortunately, the big friggin' bottle likes to go left and right, so this car fails the big friggin' bottle test. Here we have a 2005 Chevy SSR. This was one of the strangest cars that GM sold in the 2000s. It was a convertible, retro-themed pickup truck, and here's the top going down. The bed was carpeted, and 2005 was the first year for the 6.0-liter V8, where a 5.3-liter V8 was used in 2003 and 2004. Just over 24,000 of these were sold over the 4 model years. Sadly, the cup holders that come out of the dash fail the big friggin' bottle test. Would you own one of these? I don't know if I'm old enough yet. Here we have a 2006 Chrysler 300 SRT8. Under the hood is a 6.1-liter Hemi V8, and this was a muscle car in a tuxedo. It makes 425 horsepower and brought performance back to the Chrysler name. While the cup holders are openable, it sadly fails the big friggin' bottle test. Here we have an 80s Chrysler LeBaron. While it might be a little worse for wear at the moment, it does have this really sweet wood paneling. However, this car also has the coolest 80s feature. It talks to you.
Don't forget your keys. Your headlights are on.
Sadly, it fails the big friggin' bottle test, but who cares? Here we have a 2025 Chrysler Pacifica plug-in hybrid. Now, this was actually my first time driving the plug-in hybrid, and I have to say I was very happily impressed with the power and the ability to drive in all-electric mode. I also absolutely loved this deep blue color, and I was out on Belle Isle in Detroit, Michigan to celebrate Chrysler's 100th anniversary. Another reason for celebration? It passes the big friggin' bottle test. Here we have a 1996 Chrysler Town & Country. 1996 marked the first year for the NS platform, which was the first time the Town & Country had gotten a major makeover since its conception in 1984. It also offered a door on both sides of the van, which was revolutionary for the time. This is owned by Chrysler themselves, a part of their heritage collection, and has just over 15,000 miles on it. The update worked really well since it now passes the big friggin' bottle test. Here we have a Japanese fire truck. This one is built off of a Daihatsu Hi-Jet K truck. These were used in urban areas with tight streets. This is not a replica and still has some of the original firefighting equipment on board. With potential seating for 4, I'm not sure this is what I would want to see if my house was on fire. Sadly, the water is limited, including the big friggin' bottle, which it fails to hold. Here we have a 1982 DeLorean DMC-12, modified to look like the car from Back to the Future Part 2. You can tell it's from the second movie from the license plate, as well as the addition of the Mr. Fusion on the back. This car was the star of the Back to the Future trilogy, famously achieving 88 miles an hour to travel through time. Although this car wasn't really a speed demon and was chosen mostly for its quirky stainless steel design, 88 miles an hour could take over 20 seconds to achieve in the DeLorean. Sadly, Doc and Marty weren't bringing much water with them to 1955 or 2015 since the DeLorean fails the big friggin' bottle test. Here we have a 2020 Dodge Charger Interceptor, powered by a 3.6-liter V6 and accompanied by an all-wheel drive system. This is the last thing you want to see in your rearview mirror. Sadly, Dodge ended production of these in 2024, leaving the Durango to take its place. One benefit is that it is outfitted with a Lund Industries center console that will accommodate the big friggin' bottle. Here we have a 1969 Dodge Dart Swinger concept. This was built by the Alexander brothers along with Chrysler. They took a Dodge Dart and made it slightly longer, chopped the top, repositioned the front glass, as well as gave it new headlights and taillights. It had a 340 cubic inch V8 under the hood, and it was debuted for the public at the 1969 Chicago Auto Show. This car was once a part of the Stephen Giuliano collection, who's a famous Mopar collector. Sadly, in their effort to build something unique and cool, they left out cup holders, so it fails the big friggin' bottle test. Here we have a 1986 Ferrari 328 GTS. Sitting behind the driver is a 3.2-liter V8, hence the 328 name, and it is an absolutely wonderful driving experience. If you're looking for a Ferrari that you could daily drive, this is the one that you want. Now, I unfortunately didn't have the time to do a full review of the vehicle. However, I did drive it for a couple of minutes, and I have to say I fell in love. It's so friendly to drive, it's not intimidating at all, and it works so well. Unfortunately, it fails the big friggin' bottle test, but I could not give a rip. Here we have the Fiat Topolino. It's an adorable city EV with manual windows, a driver's side reverse opening door, and room for you and a buddy. Even better, there's a cup holder in front of the gauge cluster that does in fact pass the big friggin' bottle test. I need one of these little guys in my life. Here we have the 2025 Ford Expedition. It's redesigned for 2025, and this is the new Tremor trim level, which is also found on F-150 and Maverick. There are gold spokes on the wheel, so you can find the valve stem easily. However, I have to say the steering wheel feels a little small. We'll have to wait till the road test to give a conclusion on that one. The inside is full of tech, as well as large cup holders that do accommodate the big friggin' bottle. Here we have the 2025 Ford Maverick Lobo. The Lobo is a love letter to mini truck culture from the 90s and 2000s, featuring these amazing factory wheels. I like the look of the truck a lot, however, sadly, it does not pass the big friggin' bottle test. Here we have the 2025 Ford Explorer Interceptor. Matching the updated Explorer, the Interceptor brings the future to the police force. You can option them with either the 3.0-liter twin-turbo V6 found in the Explorer ST or the 3.3-liter V6 hybrid. This Interceptor was equipped with a Havis center console that does in fact pass the big friggin' bottle test. Here we have a 2009 GMC Savannah diesel long wheelbase. The long wheelbase is about 20 inches longer than the standard wheelbase, and like I said, this has the 6.6-liter turbo diesel Duramax V8. This would be the perfect road trip car for many reasons, but mainly because it passes the big friggin' bottle test in the back. Here we have a 1927 GMC truck. It's sitting here in Joshua Tree National Park on the way to an old mine. Surprisingly, it still has the engine, transmission, and differential in it. It even feels like it goes into gear. That's reverse. Although I doubt it would move anytime soon. Sadly, it also fails the big friggin' bottle test. Here we have the 2026 Honda CR-V Trail Sport. This is Honda's latest entry into their Trail Sport sub-brand focused around off-roading. It has special wheels and tires, enhanced all-wheel drive, and a hybrid drivetrain, and the Trail Sport specific interior touches like embossed headrests and rugged floor mats. Sadly, you can't take too much water with you out on the trail since the CR-V fails the big friggin' bottle test. Here we have a 2026 Honda Passport Trail Sport. It is completely redesigned for the 2026 model year. However, the parts that made the Passport good are still there, like the 3.5-liter V6. I'm also happy to report that it does pass the big friggin' bottle test. Here we have the 2025 Hyundai Ioniq 5 XRT. The XRT trim is new for this year and offers off-road modifications like lifted suspension, knobby tires, real recovery hooks, and black cladding. I gotta say, the suspension is wonderful and transferring on and off-road is smooth and fun. Sadly, it fails the big friggin' bottle test. Here we have the all-new Hyundai Ioniq 9. This is Hyundai's first three-row EV, following in the footsteps of the Ioniq 5 and Ioniq 6. This is a prototype car, so some production features may change, but I love the rear taillights and the pretty green color. The cherry on top? It passes the big friggin' bottle test. Here we have the 2025 Hyundai Kona N-Line. The N-Line Kona gets an angry 1.6-liter turbo and the looks to match. If you want to drive a hot hatch with a chip on its shoulder, this little guy will do. The paint is sparkly, and although the center console cup holders are either too big or too small, the door cards will in fact accommodate my big friggin' bottle. Here we have an insane Infiniti QX80. The mad lads over at Nissan and Infiniti have shoved a 1,000 horsepower GTR motor into an Infiniti QX80. They also added some crazy aero. They call it the R spec. Now, of course, this car won't hit production. However, Infiniti told us that they want to test the waters to see if a high performance QX80 is of interest, and I have to say that it is. Sadly, they don't modify the cup holders for the R spec, so it fails the big friggin' bottle test. Here we have the all-new 2026 Jeep Cherokee. It has grown in every dimension and it only comes in hybrid form. It is built off the same multi-energy platform shared with the new Dodge Charger and Jeep Wagoneer S. I think it's pretty handsome, but we'll have to see how it drives once I'm able to test one. One big positive, since it shares a platform with the Charger and Wagoneer S, it also passes the big friggin' bottle test just like those vehicles. Here we have the 2025 Jeep Wagoneer S. This is technically the first EV Jeep if you don't count the Power Wheels that we all had as a kid. It's smaller than the full-size ICE Wagoneer and is built on the same platform as the new Dodge Charger Daytona. The cherry on top? It passes the big friggin' bottle test. Here we have a 2025 Jeep Wrangler 4xe Willys. This is a new special trim level made to commemorate the original World War II Jeep. It has these sweet steel wheels, special paint, graphics, interior color, and shift knob. It's a really cool throwback to the history of the brand, and it's a plug-in hybrid. But sadly, it does not pass the big friggin' bottle test. Oh, and it's also like $60,000. Here we have a 2008 Kia Sorento LX, and we know that it fails the big friggin' bottle test up front, but it actually has these cool little inserts in the doors that do pass the big friggin' bottle test. However, you ever wondered if it can tow a fucking camper? Well, it can, so that's pretty sick as well. Here we have a 1972 Lamborghini Espada. Built for 10 years from 1968 to 1978, only 1,227 were ever made. It has a 3.9-liter V12 under the hood. While only a two-door, this is actually a four-seater Lambo. Wild to think that this sold alongside the Mira at the same time. Sadly, while this was one of the larger Lamborghinis with 4 seats, it still doesn't have cup holders, so it fails the big friggin' bottle test. Here we have the 2025 Lexus LC500. Look, it fails the big friggin' bottle test. All the LCs fail the big friggin' bottle test, but I will never not film this car. It has a 5-liter V8 that sounds amazing with its stock exhaust. It also has neck warmers, so if you want to drive with the top down, you won't get chilly. Now this is a car. Here we have a 2022 Lexus LX 600 with some added goodies. This one is built for camping and has an aftermarket wrap on it. Here's a mod list for the vehicle in front of us. It has a sweet tent on top so you can camp wherever the LX can take you. Sadly, it can't take too much water with you, however, because it fails the big friggin' bottle test. Here we have a 2025 Lotus Electra Carbon. This is the top trim of the Electra, which boasts 905 horsepower from its dual motor all-electric drivetrain. This thing is no joke.
All right. Oh my God. Did you feel the car stabilizing itself?
Now, it's the opposite of what Lotus used to be. It's a Chinese-built 6,000-pound SUV EV, where Lotus of the past used to be lightweight sports cars from England. But hey, it's a pretty cool SUV. This one will set you back about $250,000, and it fails the big friggin' bottle test, but man, is it pretty neat. Here we have the Lucid Gravity. This is the second car from Lucid following the Lucid Air, and this is a 3-row SUV. You can also get a seat for the front for just hanging out, and the looks are killer. Sadly though, this futuristic wagon slash SUV fails the big friggin' bottle test. Here we have a 1979 Mazda RX-7. This was the first model year of the RX-7, sporting the 1.1-liter rotary engine. It was known as the SA RX-7 until 1981, when VINs were implemented and it switched to the FB along with a facelift. Now this one did have a Mazda part number cup holder insert, but it was actually from a later Miata, so because it isn't stock, it fails the big friggin' bottle test. Here we have a 2020 Mini Cooper John Cooper Works GP. The GP was a special edition that used the 8-speed automatic and a 2.0-liter turbocharged inline-4, making 300 horsepower. It also got a big wing and carbon fiber fenders. Only 3,000 of these were made for the entire world, and each one displays its number on the fender, this one being number 2082 out of 3,000. I did autocross in this one at a Kumho tire event, and although it's hard to see, it actually picked up the rear tire under hard cornering. Unfortunately, even though it's super special, it fails the big friggin' bottle test. Here we have the 2025 Polestar 2. This is a dual motor example and a clear nod to the styling of Volvo. This car is all electric, however, making 476 horsepower. I think it must be pretty rad to drive, but we'll have to wait for a driving review. It does have one big cup holder that looks like it would pass the big friggin' bottle test, but alas, it actually does not. Here we have the 2025 Polestar 3. This is a cool electric hatch that really reminds me of the old Volvo C40. Polestar is starting to distance itself from its Volvo brother, but the headlights are a dead giveaway. You do get a cool air channel in the hood, as well as a bonus, it passes the big friggin' bottle test. Here we have the Polestar 4. It's new to the States and has one distinctive feature: no rear window. The driver must rely on camera systems to see behind you, which I think is dangerous and a dumb problem to have. It does pass the big friggin' bottle test, but you still can't see out of it. Here we have the 2025 Rivian Delivery 500. This is the smaller van compared to the Delivery 700, and you might see it delivering your next Amazon package. There's tons of room in the back, as well as in the front, with plenty of tech to please its drivers. It also has a cup holder to the left of the steering wheel, which passes the big friggin' bottle test. Here we have a 1983 Rolls-Royce Silver Spur. As you can tell, the exterior has been fitted with over 1 million crystals. If you thought a Rolls-Royce wasn't flashy enough, this is the car for you. The Silver Spur has a 6.75-liter V8 under the hood, and this particular example has just under 25,000 miles on it. Would you be seen driving around in this? Or would you keep the windows up and hide behind some dark window tint? Sadly, this bright diamond fails the big friggin' bottle test. Here we have the 2027 Scout Traveler Concept. Scout is a new brand with heavy investment from Volkswagen that aims to revive the International Scout from the 1970s. This has some amazing lighting accents, roof rack, jerry cans, external outlets, and plenty of room for you and your team on your next adventure. Sadly, however, the big friggin' bottle might have to stay at home. Here we have the 2026 Subaru Crosstrek Hybrid. Subaru has brought the hybrid option back to the Crosstrek name. However, this time it is not a plug-in hybrid like its predecessor. This is also finished in their new sand paint color, which seems rather pretty. It sadly fails the big friggin' bottle test, just like its non-hybrid brethren. Here we have a 2025 Subaru Crosstrek Premium. New for this year is the Premium gets the larger 2.5-liter engine as opposed to the 2.0-liter. This is also a new color called Daybreak Blue Pearl. While we know the cup holders up front fail the big friggin' bottle test, there are actually more cup holders in the back inside the trunk. Surprisingly, these do pass the big friggin' bottle test. Here we have a 1947 Tatra T87. Tatra was a Czechoslovakian car company that built some pretty high-tech cars back in the day. This T87 has a 3-liter air-cooled V8. Yes, an air-cooled V8. How wild is that? Look at all of these beautiful switches and dials. Tatra still makes heavy machinery today, but they no longer build the beautiful road cars like they once did. Sadly, the T87 fails the big friggin' bottle test. Here we have the original Toyota 4Runner. I was out in Southern California for the launch of the all-new 6th generation 4Runner, and as a little treat, Toyota brought out the original. The 4Runner came about in the early 1980s when Winnebago, yes, Winnebago, designed a rear cap for the Toyota pickup. A bench seat and a roll bar later, and the 4Runner was born. However, it unfortunately failed the big friggin' bottle test. Here we have a 2007 Toyota Avalon Limited. The Avalon was the full-size sedan from Toyota before they swapped it out for the Crown in 2022. This limited model had some awesome features for 2007, like this hidden radio, heated and ventilated seats, very nice wood grain, and a rear sunshade. The cherry on top, it also passes the big friggin' bottle test.
Here we have a Toyota Supra GT4 Evo 2. This is Toyota's dedicated race car and features the 3.0-liter turbo straight 6 and a retuned ZF transmission that's missing a gear for only 7 speeds. It makes 430 horsepower and is a bad-to-the-bone racing machine. All said and done, you can pick up your own for a cool, easy-breezy $240,000. But don't expect to bring any water with you because it fails the big friggin' bottle test. Here we have a Toyota GR86 Cup car. The GR Cup is a spec racing series based around the Toyota GR86. While the drivetrain remains mostly untouched, this one you cannot buy off the lot. It's a fully kitted out race car to every degree. The GR Cup has been gaining a lot of popularity, especially after famous actor Keanu Reeves participated in several races. Since it's a race car, there's no room for a cup holder, nor in the door panels where a stock GR86 would normally pass the big friggin' bottle test.
Here we have a 2025 Toyota Land Cruiser 1958 edition. The Land Cruiser name has been around since 1958, hence the commemorative trim level. This comes with the circular headlights, however, you can also get the new Land Cruiser with more modern rectangular headlights if you wish. I prefer the round headlights, but let me know which one you prefer. No matter what the headlight choice, however, it unfortunately fails the big friggin' bottle test. Here we have the first 3 generations of the Toyota Sienna, and today we're going to be big friggin' bottle testing the back seats of all 3. We start off with the first generation, which lasted from 1997 to 2003. The door pockets pass, the fold-out seat cup holders pass, and even the third row cup holders pass. This is a second generation Sienna which lasted from 2004 to 2010, which was a bigger and better version of the first gen. However, the second row cup holders all fail. The third row cup holders pass, but just barely. Lastly, we have a third gen Sienna, which lasted from 2011 to 2020, and this is a 2011, which is the first year of the third gen. While upgraded reliability and tech, the rear seats no longer pass the big frickin' bottle test at all. So the first gen is the big friggin' bottle king, passing a record 8 times throughout the van. Here we have a lot of Vespas. Vespa was founded in 1946 in Italy and is most well known for making small mopeds. However, they once dabbled in small automobiles. This is a 1957 Vespa 400 coupe. It has a 393cc air-cooled 2-cylinder engine and a 3-speed manual. They made them for 4 years, with 1957 being the first year. It only made about 14 horsepower and could achieve 50 miles an hour. I'm not sure if I'd rather have this car or a moped, but sadly they all fail the big friggin' bottle test. Here we have the 2025 Volkswagen Atlas SEL Premium R-Line. While that's a mouthful, it looks really good, and I like what VW has been doing in terms of their lighting setups. Unfortunately, like most other VWs, the Atlas fails the big friggin' bottle test. Here we have a very green 2025 Volkswagen Taos. This compact SUV starts at $25,000 and was lovely to drive when I drove one a few years ago. However, it fails the big friggin' bottle test because, well, most VWs do. Here we have a Yamaha electric golf cart. This is the AC and is finished in the very luxurious color, light yellowish gray metallic. Yeah, not the sexiest name. It had nice amenities, and I also drove a silver metallic one that had a very nice infotainment display with Bluetooth audio and range finding, as well as course information. These carts made our days on the links a lot easier, and they even fit the big friggin' bottle. Here we have a 1976 City Car Electric. It was built by a company named Sebring Vanguard and was mostly sold to airports. However, the general public could also buy one to have one at home. It is electric, and this is the upgraded 48-volt car. It is incredibly simple, but had some cool Vanguard touches like the voltmeter and on the gas pedal. Sadly, it fails the big friggin' bottle test. Here we have a replica of the 1966 Batmobile. This was built off a custom chassis and features a 460 cubic inch V8. However, the jet engine does shoot fire out the back. This car has all the right parts, like the bat phone, bat turn, as well as this, and this. While not screen used, this is a very faithful replica and has said to have had over $175,000 invested into building it. Unfortunately, Batman and Robin didn't have a bat holder, a bat cup, or bat bottle, so sadly it fails the big friggin' bottle test. Here we have a Bozoku van. This particular one is a Nissan Caravan. Bozoku is a Japanese vehicle style with loud colors, big exaggerated body kits, and wild exhaust systems. It was most popular in the 1980s and 1990s, but don't fail to get attention even today. The only limits in this culture are that of your own imagination. Sadly, this example fails the big friggin' bottle test. Here we have a fishing boat? Yeah, that's right. Nissan actually took us out into the ocean to fish to learn about their new sushi knife for the Nissan Z Nismo. Now, I actually caught this pretty sweet tuna, was very proud of that, and the boat was pretty awesome itself. It gave us these awesome views, and it was fun to go out on the water, even though I got tremendously seasick. To top it all off, it passes the big friggin' bottle test.